Nathan Walker, welcome to
No,
Business
very good.
Insider.
Happy to be here, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the wonderful surrounds of Milestone Bellinova.
Opulent.
Oh,
My word of the day.
bit extreme, but it's all right. Sharp Document Solutions, Sharp DS.
Yes.
For 4 years.
Yes,
And,
2008.
Indeed.
When the wheels of the world were falling off.
What a great time to buy it. You're a man whose timing is everything.
Absolutely,
Tell
yeah.
us about what went into the decision to buy at that stage.
Well, I worked the area of Central Coast as a sales rep for a Newcastle-based office, Sharp Electronics Newcastle, and I worked there for them for eight or 9 years. I saw an opportunity, I guess, with the owner up there getting a little bit older and working to retirement. I could see his position of either selling the business, Newcastle and the Central Coast, as one, or breaking them up. And I had the word to him about, well, give it a go. Let me have a go. Absolutely. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And along with my business partner, Nigel Neubauer, in 2008, we took the plunge. And, yeah, haven't looked back. It's been good, yeah.
We talked about it being your money, and that's a moment in life. How strong? Well, your business planning was strong at that stage.
Yeah, no, not really. I haven't got any, official business, experience, and I didn't have. But looking back, a lot of what we did was common sense, and it was really all about having the right people in place. And Nigel was a big part of it. And we got together and we said, listen, we can do this. We put up our own money, and when failure is not an option, when you're on the block as such,
absolutely,
it changes the way you think. And again, as failure is not an option, you have to get in and you do it, and that's what we did.
And I find Nigel and you very complementary.
Absolutely,
very
different people, aren't we?
A little
Understatement.
different.
Yeah.
Did that play a role in the relationship?
Yeah. If I was in business with any other person and my type of personality,
there'd only be one of you.
Yeah, there'd only be one of us, and we probably would have lasted about 3 weeks. No, Nigel's very laid back, where I'm maybe quick to blow up, but always quick to apologise, and we understand that, and he lets me go on my rants, and we get on with it.
We'll test that in a minute. So, looking back over the last 4 years, are there strategies that you've found work without giving away your trade secrets?
The biggest strategy when we decided to do it was we needed to have the right people in place. That was the utmost importance. And if we couldn't have got those people in place, then we said, well,
we talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
But how do you choose good people?
I knew them. I knew who they were. And I needed to say to those people, this is what we're trying to do. And Nigel was one, and our service manager, Brad Walker, was another one. Both with enormous amounts of experience, and knowing that having those guys on the team, almost like having Andrew Johns in the team, they're going to make a difference. I actually call Nigel, my business partner, Andrew Johns, of the copier business. Okay. He's just very, very good, and and having those guys, and then
is he another Walker family? The other
Brad Walker, my brother, my younger brother.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he lives in Sydney, and he was a service manager in the CBD for another company.
So we import him from Sydney each day.
We did, yeah. Yeah,
fantastic.
He just bought a place at West Pymble,
right.
And he gets to West Gosford quicker than I get to West Gosford from Baddo Bay.
The Walker name has been hanging around the Central Coast for a while now.
Yeah.
Has that helped?
Probably.
And hindered?
Yeah, no. Well, as you know, my father's involved with the Central Coast Regional Development Council. He's also the chairman of Ingara, as well as being with the Warren Race Club and Red Cross and a few other things that he does. More his contacts, I guess. It's not like that you ring up and say, you need to go and talk to this person, you need to go and talk to this person. Yeah. But when I am talking to someone, if I do call him and say, I'm about to go and see such and such, and I can get a pretty good background on that person, he's like my research in some way. Yeah. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Well, when your dad doesn't know the person, you should come on to Business Insider and have a look at their interviews. That's why you're here, so people see you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well.
No, it's good.
Cool. Okay. Now, over the next 2 years, you have had a very specific, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, in-your-face marketing campaign where you go out and do the selling.
Yeah, I'm in the front line a lot, as is Nigel. Over the next 2 years, we'll probably take that a step back and have someone doing the front line selling. I enjoy doing the front line selling. There's nothing wrong with it. But, the whole idea, I guess, of having your own business is to eventually step out of it.
Otherwise, it's not a business, it's a hobby.
Easier said than done. Yeah. Much easier said than done, but again, just trying to find the right people. And that'll happen eventually.
In those 4 years, you look back, has that evolution surprised you in any way, or
When we took over the business, we had 100 clients, and now 4 years later, actually 4 years next month, we'll have close to 500. We've done that through, again, getting out and seeing people, letting them know that we're there. I find that's the best, and again, I'm no expert, but that's the best form of advertising, is getting out, calling into a customer, finding out who that person is, and talking to them later, and just getting, if you don't get it now, you might get it in 12 months, you might get it in 24 months, but you just have to maintain that relationship, and eventually it comes around and you get an opportunity.
how important is it that the owner is sitting there talking to a customer?
We like to think that it's good, and because on the Central Coast, it's probably different to where Nigel came from, doing a Sydney or a CBD type area where they're talking to office managers and secretaries that can kind of make these decisions. When we're sitting down, often we're talking to that business owner, and I think it's got a bit of legs that. And they respect that, we're running a business and they're running a business. We understand their problems because we have the same problems in our office, and if we can help them by problems that we see in our office, then that's a good starting point.
With regard, we talk about work-life balance.
Yep.
And are you getting close to having something there, or
we're lucky because we're a B2B business, business to business. The phone starts ringing at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and really by about 5, the phone stops ringing, which is good because then you can kind of gather your thoughts. I've got very good administrative staff who do all the bookwork and basically run all that sort of thing. So it's not a big problem for us. By the time 6 o'clock comes, I'm normally out of there and I'm home, and then at 9 o'clock the next morning it starts again. No work on the weekends.
Well, it sounds like a great plan. No wonder you're smiling. That's a great plan. Is there? You mentioned about stepping back in the maybe in the next 2 years.
Yep.
Is the market changing? Are you seeing significant market change in the previous 4 years that will be projected into the next two?
The last maybe 4 years, we're really seeing the IT industry and the copier, printer, multifunction industry coming together. I mean, just to give you a bit of an example, now MFDs, or we call them MFDs, they used to be called copiers, can be loaded with that specific client software application. So basically that MFP becomes another system on the network. So everything can be integrated through the touchscreen of the device. So having the staff trained of how to implement, how to install and how to support is the big challenge. And it's a challenge we can progress to slowly, because we do one here, we do one that we never bite off more than we can chew. Because being on the Central Coast, if you do that, they're going to let you know quickly, and they'll also let other people know quickly. So you've got to do it right.
Is the Central Coast where you see Newcastle? Maybe that's where you buy back into Newcastle. I don't want to present you with an opportunity you haven't thought of already.
Yeah.
Is Newcastle different to the Central Coast in levels of sophistication?
I think we're really similar. I think what Newcastle really has on the Central Coast in the last, forever, is the Novocastrian type, the patriotism there. But the last 5 years I've seen that change on the Central Coast. I mean, I've lived here for 30 odd years, and probably in the last 10 years, I've really seen, with the Mariners and, that sort of thing, people becoming more patriotic about the Central Coast as their own region. And I like the thought of that. It makes me proud. But yeah, I think that's where similar people, but I think Newcastle got us like Queensland got us in the Passion Stakes in Origin. I think Newcastle have got us slightly in there, yeah.
What can we do more as a community to build that passion?
Oh, mate, isn't that a good question? The sports teams are good. I'd love to see a rugby league team here. I think that might be a long way off happening, because Central Coast is a rugby league town. Mate, if you know, I'd love to know. Yeah.
Do we do enough at a business level to bring the business owners together, do you think? Or is that something we should be doing more of?
Isn't it hard? Like we go to, as you probably do, you go to networking events and different things, and you really have to try and drag people to them. It's a different,
I don't go to many networking events now because of just that fact. I'm not sure that the right people are at
That's right, and that's what it is. Yeah, and I go to a few of them, and when we first started, we went to a lot of them, and now we've kind of drifted away from them.
But you haven't stopped networking, have you?
Well, we network by talking to our clients and finding out what they're doing. And once our installation's done, keeping that relationship going, calling them, how's things going, and just by talking to people, it's just a matter of picking up the phone if you're not calling in and saying, oh, well, hang on, they're opening up down the street, or you should talk to my mate Mark. And that's just how it happens. That's your networking, keeping in touch with your clients.
And more in touch. And I hope that's what's happening, and the networking's happening between businesses and clients.
Absolutely, yeah. If you look after people, and I mean, this is no secret, but if you look after people, especially on the Central Coast, they're going to talk to each other. And we're finding that's happening more and more, a lot more.
Well, 100 to 500 clients.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's right,
yeah. If you get your opportunity to have a rant,
yep.
And we will give that to you
sure.
now. Is there something that can be done to fix your issue in a specific area?
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, going back to the Central Coast and the Newcastle thing and the patriotism, I mean, we need to be proud of the Central Coast. We need to, when people mention the Central Coast, create a mental image for them of something beautiful and something modern and something good. And at the moment, when people think of Gosford, it doesn't create a good mental image. It's not something to be proud of. I think the landing, there's people against the landing, there's people for the landing, and I understand the people against the landing have got their own issues, and there's probably decent fears there, I guess, for them. But I think the scarier thing is what will happen to Gosford if nothing happens. I mean, it's really bordering on derelict, the city. The next 10 or 20 years, if nothing happens to Gosford, it will die. We need to turn that around, so when I mention Gosford to you, you think like beautiful, you think waterfront, you think all these nice things, because when you think Gosford now, unfortunately, it's not a good image that comes to your mind. You think of Terrigal, there's an image there. You think of the entrance and there's an image there, or even Erina, there's an image in your mind when you mention that word. But when you think of Gosford, it's not good. And I'd love to be able to, when someone thinks of Gosford, I'd love to be able to say, well, that's where I'm from, and be proud of that, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
And I think the landing is the best opportunity so far we've had for that. And I'm scared if it doesn't happen, what will happen.
Do we have an issue with having two councils covering our region?
No, I don't think so. I think, in our business, we really haven't had much to do with council as such. My limited experience with council is just the DAs and all the rest of the things that people go through. I don't know whether having two councils will simplify it. Maybe it will in the long run, but I can probably see some issues there at the start, trying to get the two merged. But at the moment, no, I don't. I think there's more important priorities.
Where would your priorities be for the Central Coast? We've talked about sport and having a focal, almost a community focus.
Yep.
Does it go beyond sport, or
No. Well, I mean, one of the biggest kicks I get out of the business, and I didn't see this coming when I first started it, but for example, putting on new staff, trainees, for example, out of high school for a year or two, and training them technically and doing what they do, and being able to watch those guys, young guys, come in with really no skills as such until we train them, but be able to watch them come up through the ranks and be able to watch them solve a customer's problem, and you can visibly see them lift, and you can see like the pride in them, and like that's a real buzz for me. And that was something I didn't think that would happen when I first started. And I watch the young guys, they go to TAFE and they do all their courses, and they go, Nathan, I've just fixed this problem for this customer, and they were very happy, and you see them bounce out of the place, and it gives me a buzz that to be able to continue to do that with more trainees and more young people, mate, that's where I'd love to be.
So do you have a training and development program, a conscious program that you work through there?
Well, in conjunction with TAFE, Brad, our service manager, set up basically a training regimen which lasts for 12 months. But during that time, they go out on their own a lot, and then a lot of it's back in the office simulating problems before we kind of let them loose as such. But we've got a training plan in place, and it's worked very well. We're 100% strike rate so far with our guys.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
TAFE is incredibly flexible if you go to them
very
and
good.
say.
Very good, yeah. So we've had good experiences with the TAFE guys.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, you can't do it on the coast, you've got to do it in Sydney.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the training.
Well, they're about to amp their the TAFE here on the Central Coast, as I understand it, amp up their ability to do more here. So
beautiful.
Go chase them and see what you can do.
Perfect.
Okay. Nathan, thanks for your time.
No, thanks for having me. It's been good.
All right.